What if every game you ever played lasted forever? What if every activity that you ever did was forever? What if every beautiful waterfall you ever saw, you had to look at for infinity? That would suck. I think that the essence of life is because things do not last. The essence, the beauty, the greatness of wonder is impermanence. The reason why everything we love is everything we love is because it will end. It's impermanent. You cannot freeze any moment in time. You can't stop it. Even a photograph, you take a clip of this time, well, eventually the earth will take that photograph. In a few hundred years, that piece of paper or that digital thing, well, earth will take it back. Does it exist forever? Even a digital image somewhere on the internet, could that possibly exist for infinity? What is this life? What are we all doing here? What are we supposed to accomplish? And do we have a time frame to accomplish it by? What's right? What's good? What's evil? We have this notion that death is later, and later is something we don't have to deal with. Death is the only true thing we really have outside of life, but it turns out they're the same thing. Life and death are one in the same. Because you are living, you will die. If you were, you certainly would not want to live forever. Imagine eating a piece of cake, and after you eat one piece, you just continue eating another piece. Second piece, you're going to be like, that is way too much cake. Third piece, this is way too much. Fourth piece, you probably wouldn't even be able to get it down. Before you know it, you're forced to eat a whole cake. You're just spending eternity eating a whole cake. You're eating a cake forever. That doesn't sound very appealing. The feeling of pleasure, of wonder, is experienced moment by moment by moment. If you had that cake and it lasted forever, if you ate one piece of cake and you could never get the taste of cake out of your mouth again, you wouldn't like cake very much. You would not enjoy that. You enjoy it because it's this one chunk. It's this 3 to 5 minute joyful experience of finally wanting something, of wanting to alleviate the thought of desire. And then you alleviate that thought of desire and you get exactly what you think you need. And by the end, you're like, I've had enough. Get this taste of cake out of my mouth. Well, I don't think we seem to realize how much life really is just that. Just moments of pursuing that next thing. Your life is just a series of these moments. Your life is just a series of you eating pieces of cake, man. It's going to end. What did you spend your time caring about? When this life ends, what did you spend your time caring about? What do you care about now? And how does that relate to you being an immortal being? When you leave this world, what are you going to say that you cared about? Right before you take your last breath, what is your thought going to be? Is it going to be, I did what I did. I did the things. I experienced this life in this way. I argued with people on Facebook for 15 hours a day. I am proud of that life. Is that what you're going to say? I doubt it. What do we spend our time caring about? And how does that relate to the end of life? Do we avoid this entire conversation of the end of our life, of things ending, of death? Why is death so uncomfortable? Why is death this thing that is over there? Why is death this thing that is later, but later never comes? We only think about the end of life when we're at the end of life. If you got a cancer diagnosis tomorrow, you have 6 months to live. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. You have 6 months to live. All of a sudden, there's a stopwatch on your life, right? The time is ticking. I have 6 months left to live. I've got so much shit to do. I've got to... How do I do everything I ever wanted to do in this whole life with 6 months to live? You'll never accomplish it. But what's the difference between getting a timer of 6 months to have a cancer diagnosis and starting a timer right now to say you have 50 years, 40 years, 20 years? Your life will end. And that's not a scary thing. Why is that scary? Why do we avoid death? Why do we avoid speaking of the end? Why do we avoid knowing that this is fickle? This experience, me as an ego mind, me as Jake, I'm gonna end. Am I that? Am I that thing that's going to end? What do we think will happen at the end of our lives? Do we think that there's just going to be nothingness? We die, we take our last breath, and then we're trapped in a black room of nowhere, and we're forced to live eternity as this thing who can feel no things and do no things. When you die, you no longer exist. You cannot suffer when you no longer exist. Life is suffering for this way. Life is being able to suffer is part of life. You can't avoid uncomfortable feelings. You can't avoid uncomfortable life. You can't seek comfort in complete that and get there and accomplish that and have it be a forever. Once you get comfortable, all right, I never have to do anything else again. I've lived my life. I spent money. I put it into my retirement funds up to the end of my life, and now I retired and I get to just drink margaritas until I no longer take a breath. Is that life? Don't you think after a year or so of just beaches and margaritas and spending all your retirement money, you're going to be like, man, what now? What do I do now? What's next? We're always jumping from this thing to that thing. We're always shifting our focus. Our attention span is quickly just jumping from this to that, so we don't have to sit with the truth of death. So we don't have to sit with the truth of our own end. So we don't have to feel what we think is pain and scary. But impermanence is not painful. It's not scary. Death and the end and the messiness of everything that movies and books and our culture tells us about the end of life, it doesn't all have to be like that. Death, the end, does not have to be inherently suffering, pain, agony, a hole within you when your loved one dies. You'll never fill that hole again, and it seems like this miserable thing. That was this many years of your life, because your life is more than just something you arrive at. You'll never arrive at life, isn't it? You'll never arrive. Your life is here. Your life is now, and now, and now. This is your life here. You're experiencing it. When someone passes away, I've had examples myself of I would lose a friend. I would lose someone that I knew very well, that I had one time been rather close to, but over the course of years, you just don't hang out with them. Your life goes a different way. Your job goes a different way. Their life goes over here, and then you learn that they've lost their life. You've learned that their journey has ended, that they're gone. And I've had this feeling of shame, of, man, I wish that I was closer to them. I wish that I had been closer to them at the end. I could have saved them, maybe. I've had that foolish thought. I've had that, if only I was better friends with them until the end, maybe they wouldn't take their own life. Maybe, even if they didn't take their own life, maybe They could have known how much I really cared about them. I could have told them. If they hadn't passed, I could have told them how much I care about them. And then they would know forever. They know it. They heard me say it. Now they know I'm good. Let go. I'll never have to talk to this person again. They know how much I care about them. We're good. That's not how it works. In the moments of life ending, the guilt that I had associated with my friend leaving and me not being close to him towards the end. But what about the 6 years that I was close to him? Is that no longer relevant because I wasn't near him at the end? What about all the people that you've met that have since passed away? What of all the people that you've interacted with that you never knew until now? But what if you just right now at this moment just got a text and it's a list of every single person with their picture, their faces, everything? These are people that have died that you have interacted with. In your 30 years of life, in 28 years of life, however old you are, these are the people from day one that you saw with your own eyes that no longer exist here. What would you feel? Agony? I should have stayed so close to them. I'll never see them again. I should have treated those times as more precious. What if you were to receive this text, this list right now? It has pictures, and it's also people who have died who were your enemies. People who you fist fought with back in high school. People you hated. People who did you harm. What would you feel about knowing they were gone? What would you feel about knowing their journey has ended? They no longer are alive on this earth. Because the only you that is consistent within those people before they passed is the moments you had with them. All you really have is your individual moments. All you have is now. And now. Now. What you bring people in every moment is life. Life doesn't build up to the end, and then you have just all right, now let's take a look at how we did. Let's get a score. You're not being scored here. You're not being judged here. You're not trying to get all of these things so you can have them at the end. You're the isnness. You're the here. You are life in this moment, whatever moment you are in. Your life is precious because it is in moments, not because it's forever. A thing is not beautiful because it lasts. You don't want to stare at a waterfall for eternity because it wouldn't be so beautiful. A waterfall is beautiful because it catches you off guard and it makes you feel insignificant and small. And it reminds you like, oh yeah, all those things I was caring about, like that waterfall situation literally took thousands and thousands and thousands of years to happen. That situation, water falling off of a rock, those things, why are they beautiful? Why do they stop you? How is a beautiful landscape, a mountainside with the sun on the top and it's hitting the top corner just right, and the colors are just beautiful, and every corner, all sides of your eyes and your vision is just beauty? How does that stop us? Why does that stop us? What is that all about? Why is that so wonderful? Why is that nice? Why is that attainable? And what if we had to look at it forever? It would ruin it. We wouldn't want to look at it forever. You are the thing that stares at the waterfall for eternity. I don't want to be that. Your consciousness, having the experience of being a spirit in a meat vehicle. Your spiritual being in a human body. You are experiencing things because of their moments, because they are not forever, because things cannot be frozen in time? What things can be frozen in time? 400 billion years, what is one thing that's consistent? Besides source, God, you, soul, the inner is, the Tao, the fluid everything. Why are you afraid of death? Why are you afraid of this ending? Because it'll make you look at all the things you're doing or not doing? Because it reminds you that you should act now? Because it reminds you that you should stop acting now? It reminds you that this is all that's promised? You know, thinking about the end of life, thinking about impermanence, thinking about death. It's not inherently sad. It's not inherently scary. It's not inherently bad. When a loved one dies, there's a few months or a few weeks or a few days or a few hours, whatever it is to you in your life, there seems like turmoil, there's sadness. If you never loved that person, you would never miss them. Loving someone gives you the ability to miss them. You would never miss someone if you never got to love them or experience them. Life comes with death. Life does not exist without death. The reality that we see, it is a backdrop. It is the yin and the yang. You are just as much the backdrop as you are the observer. You don't exist without this to exist within. You don't exist without the trees. You cannot breathe. Your breath of life was not given to you. If all the trees were gone, if the trees had never existed, would you exist? You certainly wouldn't. You are evolution. You are the constant moving momentum of life, desperately, wonderfully, amazingly trying to experience itself. You can't freeze any of it. You can't take any of it. You can't save it. It won't go with you. You can't go anywhere with it. You are merely experiencing things in every moment. Your memory, it won't outlast you. Even after someone says your name, after you've died and someone says your name for the last time, time will continue and things will carry on and you'll be forgotten. And who you are, your ego identification with yourself, the who you are, your parents named you, this person, this thing, this who you think you see when you look in the mirror, that namesake, that ego identification with society, that's not forever. That will end, but not in a terrible eternity of despair. There is no such thing as suffering and nothingness. You can't, when you die, you just cease to exist. And all you have, all that you have left of you on this earth is within other people. The feelings you gave other people, how you made other people around you feel, what you did, what you cared about. Why do we joke so much about death? You know, have a 15th cheeseburger, have a 40th beer, and fuck it, I'm gonna die one day anyway, whatever it is. We all have our strangely nihilistic moments, I'm sure, but why do we joke that off? Why don't we just sit with it? I'm gonna die. My life's gonna end. Doesn't that make you want to do something? Not to prevent the death from happening, but to live, but to experience. You know, a lot of people say believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. That's the most important thing you could do. Don't care about what other people are doing. Care about your experience. How can I make this experience more rich for me and the people around me? Good and bad is not something that is judged at the end of your life. It is something that is felt here. Heaven and hell are within you now. They're not at the end. They weren't before. They're not for anybody else. Heaven and hell is within you. Your heaven, your hell. It's in here. You're not permanent. You will not last forever. Nothing will last forever except for the continuous isness of reality. You can't avoid loss. You can't look at every situation and say, that's merely what life is. It's okay to experience the human emotions. There's a lot of human emotions, and some of them are wonderful to experience, and some of them go hand in hand with a better experience. You must know that you're more than this moment. When you're suffering, when you feel pain, when you feel discomfort, when you feel boredom, when you feel guilt, when you feel shame, when you feel judged, when you feel down, when you feel... Remember that you're more than that. That is a feeling. That is part of your experience. This is a thing. When water is cold, when you put your hand in a bucket of cold water, you feel it, your hand's cold. And you put your hand in a bucket of warm water. This one's in cold, this one's in warm. And you take them out. And you put them together. Are you cold or are you hot? We're always trying to define who we are, what we're experiencing in every single moment, but we don't have to. Why the label? Why the scorecard right now? Why the pause? Pause. Let's judge myself now. Who am I? What have I done? What have I accomplished? What have I not accomplished? Why the need to define ourselves at all times? Why the need to say, this is who I am? This is who I am now. Nope, I was wrong. This is who I am. Dang it. It's been a couple days. I had some time to think about it. This is what I am. You're none of those things and all of those things, my friend. You are the impermanent consciousness of experience. You will not end, but life will, right? Life and death merely go together. They are the yin and the yang. You couldn't see something without a backdrop for it to exist on, for it to exist in contrast in front of. We are the diversity of life. We are evolution. We are still in evolution. Evolution is how we got here, and evolution is what we're doing. We are the experience of this. We are when you read a book and it tells you about history and it tells you what has happened, don't you understand that your life now is going to be written about later? You are history. You're currently the experience of future's history. Their life would not exist without your experiences, without the reality that's in front of you. We avoid the talk of death. I don't know if it just makes us uncomfortable. It used to make me rather uncomfortable until I really started learning about it, honestly. The not knowing, or the never addressing, or the always avoiding is what made me uncomfortable. It's what made me not want to look at that thing. It's what made it over there. It's what gave me that, I know it's coming, but it's later. And later is something I never have to look at. Don't wait till the end of your life to think about death. Death is a very powerful motivator. Death is a very beautiful motivator. Death is beautiful. Because life is beautiful. And life and death are one and the same. I think that the most important question at the end of each of our lives is, what did I spend my time caring about? What did I care about? What did I spend my time arguing with people about? What did I spend my time trying to define myself as? One day you will die as I will die. What will you say you have spent your time caring about? The opinions of others or your own experience? The importance of impermanence is that that's what you are. You are an impermanent being. All of this, it's impermanent. What will you say you spent your time caring about? The opinions of others? Or your own experience here on this earth?